So basically, in this chapter, the three concepts that are important are programming, algorithm, and flowchart. So yan yung tatlo pag-aaralan natin today. I will introduce these three concepts to you today. So let's start with the IPOS cycle. So the IPOS cycle represents the 4 basic tasks of any computer. So this is a standard task of a computer. So IPOS stands for input, process, output, and storage. So for input, pakibasa po yung definition. Maliwat, Justine.
Input. Input is obtaining data from the outside world and delivering it to one or more components in the computer.
Thank you, Justine. So by the word input, ang ibig sabihin, your computer will be able to capture a data. So basically, there are different ways to input data to your computer. Ang common input or common way for input is through typing in a keyboard. So pag nag-type tayo sa keyboard, anything na tina-type natin, kina-capture as data ng computer. Another input is the mouse click. So if there are menu or options in your monitor, pag nag-click tayo ng isang option, that is already an input. Ito yung pinili niya, option 1. So that's an input to be processed by a computer. Ano pa kaya ang ibang ways for input? May naisip ba kayo?
Through mic po.
Yes. Keyboard. Yes, yun yung una natin example. Keyboard. Mic. Sino nag-answer ng mic? Microphone is also an input device. Or it captures an input. How? So yung sound or yung voice na kinakapture niya, that is an input. Correct, Samson. Camera is also an input. So the image, the portrait or the photo na kinukuha ng camera, that is an input towards the computer. Okay? So iba't ibang klase ng input pa yan. That's the common input devices in a standard computer. Pero pagka pinag-aralan nyo pa yung iba pang parts or technology, example yung barcode scanner. Yung ginagamit to scan yung barcode sa mga groceries, that's an input. Yes, scanner is an input. Yung mga swipe cards, pag may nakita kayong mga establishment na gumagamit ng credit card or ATM cards for payments, that is an input device. Touchpad. Okay? So those are among others. Go ahead, Laksamana. Next, processing. Can somebody read processing? Halili.
Processing. Processing is the execution of one or more computer programs on the data. Process can vary greatly in size, complexity, and function. Processes will often perform mathematical operations, stream operations, computer graphics, storage operations, and or operating system activities.
Thank you, Halili. So for processing, this is the second step after we have input the data. Ano bang gagawin sa process? This is the part wherein the computer will execute one or more computer programs or instructions. So pagka sinabi na after you input yung student name, may gagawin tayong changes doon. Gusto niya i-caps lock lahat yon. That is one instruction for the computer. I-capitalize na lahat ng letters. May process na nangyari. There were changes done to your input. So process can vary greatly in size, complexity, and function. Ibig sabihin, your instruction can be simple as changing yung format or changing the whole representation ng data. So, depende yun sa computer program mo. Processes often perform mathematical operations, string operation, computer graphics, storage operation, and operating system activities. So, therefore, dito papasok yung program natin. Kasi process is the part where we execute yung computer program. Okay, so next in IPOS cycle is the O, which stands for output. Let me just check. Santos, J. Mark, can you read? Santos, J. Mark is
Ma'am, ganun niyo po ako, ma'am.
ano nangyari?
Nagluloko po mic ko eh. Output is taking information stored in the computer and delivering it to the outside world. Usually for humans to view, you might think of input as the raw data for a process and output as the result of the process.
Okay, thank you, J. Mark. So output is, again, the result of your process data. This is your information. So, kung ang in the law of computers or computer processing, kapag meron tayong input, lagi tayong may expected output. Kasi hindi pwedeng black hole yan. May input tapos walang output. Saan napunta yung data na input natin? So, yun yung end result after a process is done to an input. Okay? So example, nag-input tayo ng student number sa ating keyboard. So ipaprocess yon, ipa-validate if nandun ka sa list of students ng Dominican. If legit yung student number mo, that's already a process, validation. And then, i-output siya or i-display siya sa monitor mo. So that's already 3 steps in the IPOS cycle. Input, process, which is validation, output, which is display. Okay? Following, guys? And lastly, in the IPOS cycle is storage or the S. Michelle, can you read for me?
Storage is applied to data, both data and program code. Storage usually refers to secondary storage, that is, the permanent placement of information device like this, but it can be also refers to temporary storage in some form of memory, such in memory or storage term storage such as refers and cache.
Registers and cache. Okay, so we have usually 2 types of storage, the main memory or random access memory or RAM, and the secondary storage wherein we usually place or save or store our data, our files. Okay, like your flash disk, external disk, your local disk. Okay? So these are the storage. So sabi niya, it is applied to for both data and program code. So program code are saved in your programs, in your C. So they are the instructions that to be pulled out or to be executed kapag there's a processing to be done. So we store program codes. And the data, we save our data for later use, for later retrieval. So both program codes, data are being stored in our computer system. Okay, so that is the IPOS cycle. Again, that is the standard basic tasks of a computer: input, process, output, and storage. So if you can see the illustration there, ganyan po yung graphical explanation ng IPOS cycle. So we input information or raw data into a computer. Computer holds the computer program, wherein kapag may input tayo, execute niya yung process. And if there is process done to our raw data, so if there's process done into your raw data, expected there is an output or your process or your information. Okay? So again, storage is applied to our program and our output data. Okay? So ang coverage niya from the processing, gumagamit na tayo ng storage until sa output. Naintindihan po yun. Silence means yes. If your connection is being disconnected, if you have to do something like restart, just join again once your connection is okay, okay? Let's continue. Program. Let's define what is a program. Angel Gilbert. John Angel, pakibasa po yung program.
A program is a set of step-by-step instructions that directs the computer to do the task you want it to do and produce the result you want.
Okay, thank you, John Angel. So program is a set of step-by-step instructions. So pag sinabing step-by-step instructions, it's a collection of instructions. Pero what is important there is yung step by step. Ibig sabihin, you have to go to step 1 before you execute the step 2. You have to be done with step 1 and 2 before you can execute step 3. Hindi pwedeng step 5 agad. Therefore, there is a sequence na kailangan sundin ng instruction. Hindi siya labo-labo. So, step-by-step instruction, it is a set. Ibig sabihin, it is a collection of instructions. At anong ginagawa ng instructions na yon? It directs the computer what to do. And then, if there is a set of instruction, if there is a program, of course, there is a result. Ano yung magiging ending kapag na-execute ko lahat ng instruction? Ano yung magiging result, outcome, or the output? Okay? That's a simplest definition of a program. It is a set of step-by-step instruction that directs or tells the computer what to do. And programming language, can you read the definition, Pauline?
A set of rules that provides a way of telling a computer what operation to perform is called a programming language.
Okay. So programming language, thank you, Pauline. Ito naman po yung rules on how to create yung instructions or yung program natin. So it provides a way of telling the computer what operations to perform. So ito yung ginagamit natin to build yung instructions or create the instruction or create a program. It is a set of rules. Ibig sabihin, there are proper way to create a program. There are do's and don'ts. There is a set of rules to be followed when we create a program using a programming language, which you will do later on, not in the near future. Galing ni ma'am. Okay. So there are at least 3 good reasons for learning programming. Actually 4. Yung una, because it is required in your course. First, programming helps you understand computers. The computer is only a tool. If you learn how to write simple programs, you will gain more knowledge about how a computer works. Sabi niya, the computer is only a tool. Ibig sabihin, computer is just a machine. Unless there are programs that is stored on that computer and to be executed by the computer, hindi mo magagamit yung computer. Therefore, kung walang OS yan, kung walang Microsoft Office package yan, walang silbi yung computer. So we have to understand programming in a way para mas maintindihan natin kung paano mag-work yung computer. Kung paano ma-maximize yung gamit ng computer and other possibilities on the use of computer. Okay? Or that's the first reason. Next, writing a few simple programs increases your confidence level. Many people find great personal satisfaction in creating a set of instructions that solve a problem. Programming is a skill, 21st century skill. Meaning, if you have this skill, this goes to, or this is added in your credentials. If you know how to create a program, that's a skill that you have. That's plus points for you. Okay? So writing a few simple programs will increase your confidence level kasi you know another skill. You know you have an edge in IT industry. Okay? So, and lastly, learning programming lets you find out quickly whether you like programming and whether you have an analytical turn of mind programmers need. Even if you decide that programming is not for you, understanding the process certainly will increase your appreciation of programmers and computers too. Okay, not all IT can program. That's a fact. Because it requires an analytical mind. And analytics or critical thinking is something that is developed, that is being improved in constantly. Okay? Hindi siya para siyang talent, para siyang pang-drawing. If you don't exercise your talent, mapupunta lang sa wala yun. So, ganun din yung analytical thinking or critical thinking. It's like a skill that you are good in math. It's like speaking skill. You have it. Once you have it, kailangan mo pa siyang i-improve constantly para hindi mag-rust yung skill mo. That's why programming is not for everybody. It's for someone who is very eager to improve yung analytical thinking nila. But, ay ma'am, nag-BS IT ko pa mo, tapos na ako pa naman program. Even though hindi ka nagpo-program, there are other job titles that that you can land on kahit na hindi programming. But as long as you understand what is the concept of programming and ano ang connection ng programming sa computers. One is quality assurance or QA. So hindi ka nagpo-program but naintindihan mo kung ano yung programming, ano yung concept ng programming, ayaw mo mag-program, that's fine. And then, they apply ka as a QA. So, quality assurance, anong ginagawa niya? You test the program. You devise test data para mabutasan natin yung program to test if valid yung program. Hindi ikaw yung nagpo-program but you test the quality of the program. Pero, it still requires yung understanding about programming. Okay, so those are the 3 good reasons for learning a program. And of course, you have to learn program because this is required in your subject, in our subject. This is required in your course. This is required in our subject. Programming process. So the programmer's job is to convert problem solutions into instructions for the computer. There are 5 main ingredients in the programming process. So the first is defining the problem. Second is, Paulo, Dasco.
Planning the solution, ma'am.
Third is, Frank Rio. Wala si Frank Rio. What is number 3? Kia, number 3.
Coding the program.
Number 4, Jean Ferry. Okay. Number 4, testing the program. May problema yung mic ni Jean Ferry. Number 5, Alvers.
Documenting the program.
Okay. So these are the 5, thank you, Alvers. These are the 5 basic or standard steps in programming. First, you have to define the problem, plan the solution, or you design the solution. Number 3 is you code the program, test the program, and then you document the program. Let's discuss each. Defining the problem. So defining the problem, the task of defining the problem consists of identifying what it is you know and what it is that you want to obtain. So what do you have or your input given data and ano yung magiging output mo. So for your point A to point B, yun yung defining the problem. Ito yung given ko, ito yung gusto kong marating. So we specify the kind of input, process, and the output required. So example, ang input ko is Ana. Then, ano yung kailangan kong maging process para ang maging output ko is hello, Ana. So basically, if you will think of that, ang gagawin mo lang dyan, you will add the name Hana to the word hello. Okay? And that is called string operation. Okay? If you remember, pinag-usapan natin yung processing kanina, that is composed of different operations, mathematical, string, storage. Okay? So one is string operation. So ang ginagawa natin lang sa string operation, we add one word to another word. So ito yung input ko, Ana. Gusto ko maging output, hello, Ana, with exclamation point. So ang sabi niya, identify the input. The input is the name, and the output should be hello plus the name, and then with exclamation mark. Ganun ka-detail yung identifying yung problem. Next, planning the solution. 2 common ways of planning the solution to a problem are to draw a flowchart and to write pseudocode. Sometimes we do both. For expert level programmers, either they use flowchart or they do pseudocode. Pero as practice, we usually do both flowchart and pseudocode, then we program. So when we plan the solution, minsan, okay, example for directions. Charles, taga saan ka, Charles?
Ma'am?
Taga saan ka? Address.
San Francisco, Tarlac City po.
Pasok ka ng Eskinita, dun sa Arco.
Dire-diretso pa po yun.
Papasok ka dun sa Arco.
Opo.
Okay. So, if I will ask Charles kung paano o yung direction sa bahay nila from Capas, from the school or DCT, madali lang naman ikwento. Kwento niya kung paano. Harap ng DCT, abang ka ng jeep, tapos baba ka ng San Francisco, yung landmark, PTP, merong arco doon, pasok ka doon, tapos hindi ko na alam kung saan yung papatungo, may lilikuan ka pa or what. Okay? So that is step-by-step process, correct? Para mas maintindihan natin yung proseso, we use flowchart or yung, we say, sketch ng direction. So, we use illustrations para mas maintindihan natin yung direction, yung process, or yung instruction. So, basically, ganoon yung flowcharting. We use illustration. And pseudocode is through words. So, ililista ni Charles ano yung steps. So, step 1, harap ng DCT, sakay ka ng jeep. Step 2, para ka sa San Francisco after ng PTT gasoline. Step 3, pasok ka sa kanto dun sa Arco. Okay? So, that is pseudocoding. You use English words or human language for the instructions. Sabi niya, flowchart is pictorial representation of a step-by-step solution to a problem. So you will learn more about flowchart before we end this lesson. So basically, that is planning the solution. Para mas ma-design natin yung solution natin, or kung ano yung mga steps or yung instructions na gagawin natin, we draw it using flowchart or we write the instruction using pseudocode. Pseudocode is not complete English. It's not a complete sentence. It's not a complete sentence, but andun yung instruction. Andun na yung thought ng instruction. So those are the first two process. Define problem, plan solution, and the third is, hindi ko pala tapos. So planning the solution is the second one in planning the solution is pseudocode, wherein pseudocode is an English-like non-standard language, that lets you state your solution with more precision than you can in plain English, but with less precision that is required using a formal programming language. So sabi niya, it's less precision that is required using a formal programming language. Sabi natin sa programming language kanina, it's a set of rules. Merong do's and don'ts. Kapag nagkulang, may problema. Hindi siya tatanggapin. Therefore, ang sabi niya, pseudocode is less precision or less precise sa programming language. Ibig sabihin sa pseudocode, hindi niya sinusunod yung rules ng programming language. Pero, pwede na siya as a program or as a set of instruction, may kulang na lang siyang set of rules depende dun sa programming language na gagamitin. So, pseudocode is English-like non-standard language. English-like. But commonly English. Why? Kasi lahat ng programming language are in English. So, if you will be converting yung pseudocode mo into a program using a programming language, mas madali kung naka-English na sila. So, hindi ka na mahirapan sa conversion from pseudocode to program. Pseudocode permits you to focus on a program logic without having you to be concerned just yet about the precise syntax of a particular program language. So may mga terms dyan na IT like syntax and executable. So when we use pseudocode or when we write a pseudocode, hindi pa tayo nagre-rely sa rules ng programming language. Yung rules na yon is also referred as the syntax ng programming language. Okay? So dahil walang rules ang pseudocode, mafo-focus tayo dun sa solution and dun sa logic ng program natin or ng instruction natin. Ano ba yung kino-consider natin sa logic? Yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng instructions natin, ng sequence. Kapag ba using this set of sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yung output ko, mararating ko. Paano kung nauna yung 3 kesa sa 2? Mararating ko din ba yung output ko? Or mas mabilis ko mararating yung output ko? So that is one aspect of logic, the sequence of your instructions. And of course, the correctness of your instructions. That is logic. And then my statement dyan, however, pseudocode is not executable on the computer. Ibig sabihin, pseudocode is not, or computer cannot execute pseudocodes. Kasi ano lang siya, parang list of instruction lang yan. Pero hindi pa yan set of instructions or hindi pa yan program. So what we do, kapag na-finalize na natin yung pseudocode natin, we convert our pseudocode to a program, which is program is executable by a computer. And how do we do that? We convert the pseudocode to program. We use a specific programming language and we follow the syntax or the rules of that programming language. Okay? So, ganyan po yung solution. So, that's the first two steps. Define the problem, plan the solution, and the third one is code the program. So once you convert your pseudocode to program, you will choose a programming language. To code a program is to express your solution in a specific programming language. You will translate the logic from the flowchart or from the pseudocode to a programming language. So you will convert your logic into a specific program using a language. To get your program to work, you have to follow exactly the rules or the syntax of the language you are using. So that is how coding works. So parang ina-adjust mo yung flowchart mo, ina-adjust mo yung pseudocode mo para pumasa siya sa syntax or sa rules ng programming language na gagamitin mo. Ganun po yung coding. And the third is testing the program. Once you have converted your pseudocode into your program, nagawa mo na yung syntax, na-apply mo na yung syntax or yung rules. After coding the program, you must prepare to test it on the computer. And of course, we code the program using a computer. We will test the program using a computer as well. These steps involve 3 phases. First, desk checking. Desk checking is, Jean, pakibasa.
Desk checking. This phase similar to proofreading. In desk checking, you simply sit down and mentally trace or check the logic of the program to attempt to ensure that it is error-free or workable.
Thank you, Jean. So desk checking is the first step of your testing the program. Anong ginagawa natin? Piniproofread lang natin. We will check if tama ba yung spelling ng mga words or mga syntax na ginamit mo. Walang maling spelling, hindi ba kulang ng semicolon. Okay? So, ano pa yung sa desk checking? We mentally trace or check yung program. Habang nag-desk check ka, Desk checking is line by line of your computer program. Binabasa mo isa-isa. Habang binabasa mo yung line by line, your mind is already converting kung ano yung magiging output ng line ng yon. Example, first, read input name. Input name is Ana. Okay? Ano ba susunod? Add hello or output hello. Space. Output name. Ana. Okay? So, line by line, nakikita mo na, habang binabasa mo yun, nakikita mo na kung ano yung magiging output. So, that is the first step. Desk checking from your spelling, the semicolons or other syntax, kung ano yung kulang, kung ano yung sobra pala ng plus, yung A plus B, naging A plus B, magiging iba yung output nun. Second, after you desk check is Espinosa, pakibasa, translating.
Translating. A translator is a program that one checks the syntax of your program to make sure the program language was used correctly, giving you all the syntax error message called diagnostic, and the two them translate your program into a form the computer can understand. Programs are most commonly translated by a compiler. A compiler translates you and enter program at one time.
Okay, so translating, we use a program or an application called Translator. Thank you, Espinosa. So, anong ginagawa ng translator? Basically, ang ginagawa ng translator, yung ginawa mo din kanina. Pero, this one is with precise. So, checks the syntax of your programmer, of your program. And then, kapag sinek niya yung program mo o yung syntax, meron niya nagiging output if you have error messages or if you have errors. Ito yung diagnostics na tinatawag. Diagnostics is your list of syntax error messages. And then, also the translator translates or converts your program into a form that a computer can understand. So, if you can recall last discussion, sabi natin, the only language that the computer understands is 1010. But your program is composed of English words. So, hindi naiintindihan ni computer yung English words na yon. Ang ginagawa ngayon ni translator is convert niya yung English program mo into 1010 para ma-execute niya yon. Ganun po yung translator. Programs are most commonly translated by a compiler. A compiler translates the entire program at one time. Ibig sabihin, actually translator, dalawa. Compiler and interpreter. Ang compiler, babasahin niya yung buong program and then mag-create siya ng or execute niya or i-convert niya into another file na maintindihan ni computer. So, buong program niya babasahin and then one time lang yung translation. That's compiling or compiler. Interpreter is line by line yung pagka-translate or pagko-convert. Okay? So, yun yung difference. Some programming language, they use compiler. Some programming language, they use interpreter for the conversion. For Python, that is interpreter. Ibig sabihin, line by line. And by the way, Python is our programming language that we'll be using here. I understand you also have another programming language guys that you are learning this semester, and that is Java with Sir Jericho. Okay? So, yun. Nag-start na ba kayo mag-program kay Sir Jericho?
Apo.
Kilala nyo na si Java, system.out.print. Hindi pa din. O, hello world. Nakilala niyo sa hello world.
Opo.
Okay. So, we'll do that in the near future also, but using Python instead of Java. So, that is the second testing. First is desk checking and then translating and then, wala pala. Third is debugging. But before debugging, ito yung mga laman ng diagnostics or terms when it comes to testing. Syntax errors, these are the errors kasi mali yung or meron kang nilabag sa rules ng programming language. So, improperly use the program language. Sobra ng S, kulang ng S, may semicolon, walang semicolon. So, those are syntax errors. Another type of error is the logic error. Ibig sabihin ng logic error, wala kang mali sa syntax. Nagamit mo lahat ng tama yung program mo. Pero yung output mo, iba dun sa expected output. Ibig sabihin, may mali sa logic. Mali kaya yung sequence. Okay? Mali yung solution mismo, kaya hindi mo na achieve yung expected output. So, those are two types of errors. Syntax errors and logic errors. Source module, this is your original program or yung kinikreate yung program, that is source module. Object module, this is the converted program by a compiler or by the translator. So meaning, the source module, ito yung ginawa nating program, yung English-like instructions. And the object module, ito na yung converted program na naiintindihan ni computer. So 10101 na to. And load module, these are pre-written programs from a system library that may be added during the link or the load phase. Meron tayong mga set of pre-instructions sa isang programming language or set of programs na kailangan nating i-load, isama dun sa program natin para mas ma-execute niya yung gusto natin. Or minsan kailangan sila, minsan may mga features yon na kailangan dun sa program mo. So load modules. These are predefined programs na isasalin natin sa program natin. Most load modules na ginagamit are mga mathematical operations. So, parang i-call mo na lang yung specific keyword, pero yung program behind that keyword na program na at nandun na siya sa library or dun sa package ng programming language. I hope naintindihan niyo yun. But you will learn more about that along the way also. Yung methods, loading modules, or predefined programs. The third of the steps in testings is debugging. So after you have, or after ma-convert, ma-compile, ma-translate, or ma-interpret yung program mo, again, maglalabas siya ng diagnostics. And diagnostics is your set of syntax errors. It means, ang kaya lang matrap ni computer na errors are syntax errors. Hindi niya kayang matrap yung logic errors. Laging syntax errors lang. Makikiti-check lang niya kung tama ba yung paggamit mo or sumunod ka ba sa rules ng programming language. So, in debugging, we detect, we locate, and correct the bugs or yung mistakes or yung errors na nakalista dun sa diagnostics natin. So we run the program using test data that you devise. Okay. So after natin mag-translate, ito yung diagnostics. Meron tayong tatlong error, syntax error. Sobra ng S yung system mo. Okay? Wala siyang semicolon. Tapos, nakakapitalize yung that print. That is wrong. So, ganun siya ka-sensitive. Even yung capitalized small cap, Tapos yung nakakapitalize, hindi capitalize, okay? So, check yan sa debugging. So, you detect saan? You check your diagnostic list. You locate what line number, and then you correct yung bug or yung error. And then you run the program again. You test the program again hanggang mawala yung mga syntax error or walang list dun sa diagnostics. And then also, we run the program or we test the program using test data or a set of test data just to check na yung output natin is the expected output. So, ito yung sinasabi natin another type of error, which is logic error. The program has no syntax error. Wala siyang nakalist dun sa diagnostics, but expected output is not achieved. Hindi ito yung expected output ko. Imbes na B, C yung lumabas. Or imbes na hello, Ana, ang lumabas, Ana, hello. That is logic error. Mali yung meron kang mali sa sequence ng program or instruction. Okay? So those are the 3 steps of testing, desk checking, translating, and debugging. And the last of the programming process, the 5th one, is documenting the program. So documenting is an ongoing necessary process. Ibig sabihin, while doing the program or creating the program, kasama na dun yung documenting. The program is documentation, but sometimes meron tayong mga added documentation para maging detailed yung description ng program natin. So, in other programs, ano ba yung laman niya? Typically, program documentation includes the origin, nature of the problem, narrative, description of the program, logic tools na ginamit, flowchart bar or pseudocode, data record, description, program listing, and testing results. We do that sometimes in a different file. You can use a Word document file or a notepad. Kung makikita nyo, minsan when you install a specific software, merong readme na notepad doon. That's a part of documentation. Sasabihin niya sa'yo kung paano mo install or ano yung mga kailangan muna before you install. Yung mga readme instructions. Also, documentation can be done through comments in your program. Comments is a part of your program, pero hindi siya ini-execute ng computer. So parang ano lang siya, comment nga lang siya, parang side note lang siya, pero hindi siya binabasa ng computer. Comments in the program are also considered as an essential part of documentation. In your program, when we signature yung program natin, ibig sabihin, kapag ka nilagay ng programmer yung pangalan niya dun sa program or as a signature, naka-comment yun. So, programmer or developed by Frank Rio Duway, tapos yung date, naka-comment pareho yon. Ibig sabihin, hindi yun babasahin or execute or co-convert ni programming language or ni compiler. Anong gagawin niya doon? I-skip lang niya. Pero kung hindi sila naka-comment, magkakaroon kayo ng error kasi hindi siya accepted as syntax. Okay? So, kung nilagay niyo yung pangalan niyo para lang ma-signature natin, okay, developed by Noel Samson. Pabida ka, program ko to. Okay? Kaso, hindi mo nilagay yung comment symbol. Magkaka-error yon kasi hindi siya accepted as rule or syntax ng programming language mo. So, you have to use the comment symbol to be treated na comment yung nilagay mo yun. Tindihan, people? I hope so. Okay, programming languages, other terms. Language is defined as a system for communicating. So, we use that language. Hindi na pala to. So, yun. before we continue yung programming languages, review lang. So, the first step, define the problem. Second, plan the solution. Either you use flowchart or pseudocode. Plan the solution, coding the program. The third, when you code the program, you convert your flowchart to a program. You convert yung pseudocode into a program. Secret, Noel. And the fourth is, ano yung pang-apat? We test the program. We test the program, tatlong steps. Desk checking, translating, and debugging. So, desk checking, translating, and debugging. And the fourth one is document the program, either in a separate doc file or through the comments in the program itself. Okay, so those are the 5 steps of programming process. And kanina pa natin minimension yung programming language. So programming language, this is the set of rules that is used to create the program. So you already know, or you've been introduced to 2 programming languages as early as today, Python and Java. Those are the programming languages. Or few of examples of the programming languages. Iba pa yan. So language is defined as the system for communicating. Kapampangan is a language. It is a system for communicating. Tagalog, Filipino is a language, a system for communicating. English is a language. It's a system for communicating internationally. Filipino, locally or sa national level. Ang Kapampangan, regional level. It is a language or a system. Ganun din po sa computer. There's a language on how the users, tayong tao or humans, communicate with the machine or the computer. This is through programming languages. Vocabulary, this is the entire set of words in the language. Okay? Yung each word or yung set of words, vocabulary, this is, ito yung bumubuo doon sa language natin. Syntax, grammar, this defines in which the words can be meaningfully combined. Ibig sabihin, syntax or yung grammar, ibig sabihin, paano pagsusunod-sunurin yung vocabulary o yung words para magkaroon siya ng meaning. Halimbawa, Shane is beautiful. May meaning yon because that is the correct syntax, that is the correct grammar. Paano is beautiful Shane is? You really don't know kung anong ibig sabihin nun. Beautiful Shane is. Ano bang gusto niya sabihin? Beautiful Shane is. Nagtatanong ba siya? Nagde-declare or what? Okay, kasi it's not the proper syntax or the proper grammar. So wala siyang specific or wala siyang meaning. So ganun din sa programming language. Kailangan may specific sequence ng paggamit ng mga words or vocabulary ng language, programming language na yun. Semantics, the actual meaning of the words and the combination of words. Yun yung meaning. Okay, semantics. When it comes to programming languages, there are 2 classifications, high-level programming language or PL. If we say PL, that means programming language. Okay, guys? So we have high-level PL and low-level PL. If you can notice sa illustration natin, ito yung side. On your left is your high-level PL. And then your right is your low-level PL. On high-level PL, these are the computer languages that are understood or understandable for the computer user. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga languages na naintindihan ng human or ng tao. While low-level PL, these are the languages that are understandable for computers or for the machines. And yung programming languages, there are 4 units or subdivisions or subclassifications. Natural language, high-level language, low-level, and machine language. Nasa dulo or pinaka-right side yung machine language kasi ito yung pinaka-naintindihan ni computer. So, machine language is binary 10101. Ito yung language na naiintindihan ni computer, low level. In between machine language and high level is low level language like assembly language. It's a combination of, para siyang a set of instructions, English-like, pero close enough or malapit na siya sa machine language. Next na siya sa machine language. Above low level is high level. Okay? You have Java, Python, Visual Basic, C, C++. These are examples of high level or the programming languages. And pinaka nasa taas or pinaka left side nyo is the natural language or human language. Example of human language is English. So English is yung pinaka naiintindihan ni user. In between English and low level is the high level, Java and Python. Ibig sabihin, English-like sila, English-like, but treated as instructions for the computer to understand and in the representation of English words for the user to understand. Okay? So, yun po yung programming languages. So, the more ka lumalapit sa low level, okay? So, the more siya naintindihan ni computer. The more siya lumalapit sa high level, the more siya naintindihan ni computer user. So, high for users, low for computer. Gets? Gets. Next, okay, algorithm and flow charting. So, algorithm, sabi niya, is a step-by-step procedure which defines a set of instructions to be executed in a certain order to get the desired output. Anong difference ni algorithm kay program? Basically, wala. Pareho silang step-by-step procedure. Hindi pala. Hindi sa basically, wala. Merong difference ng algorithm sa program. Ang algorithm, ito yung logic mo on how you build your instruction, how you sequence your instruction. Ito na yung logic mo. Pero hindi siya kasing strict nung programming language or nung program mismo. Ibig sabihin, algorithm is not dependent sa mga programming language. Okay? Lahat ng programs, kahit anong language pa yung ginamit mo, you use algorithm, you use pseudocode. Okay? And there are specific classification or characteristics na isang algorithm. An algorithm should be unambiguous. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya nakakalito. Yung step-by-step procedure mo o yung instructions mo, clear and not confusing. Not confusing for you, for the user to understand. Ganun din siya sa computer. Kung hindi naintindihan ng user, mas lalong hindi yan maintindihan ng computer. Ikaw na may brain, hindi mo naintindihan yung program mo. Yung computer pa kaya na walang brain. Okay? So your algorithm should be precise, clear, exact, unambiguous, not confusing. Algorithm should have 0 or more well-defined inputs. Sometimes, an algorithm or a program does not have an input. 0 or more siya. Pwedeng wala, pwedeng meron. Ano ibig sabihin ng walang input pero may output? Yes. Paano nangyayari yon? Program A, yung input niya, hindi talaga siya input na nanggaling sa outside world. Yung input niya, nakuha niya from another output. Example, meron program A and program B. Si program A, kailangan mag-input tayo sa computer, sa keyboard. Tapos, ipaprocess na yon, magkakaroon siya ng output. Ngayon, yung output na yon from program A, yun yung gagamitin na information ni program B. Paprocess na yon, tapos magkakaroon ng another output. So basically, si program B, wala siyang input. Kinuha lang niya yung output ni program A. Kaya, ang definition ng input should have 0 or more well-defined inputs. Gets? Kunwari, gets. Output. Output should have one or more outputs and match the desired output. So, ibig sabihin, again, sabi natin, ang program natin or computer is not a black hole. May pinrases pero walang output. Hindi po pwede yun. Minimum is one or more outputs. And of course, your output should be yung expected output natin. Hindi siya, example, ang gusto kong output, capital B. Ang lumabas, small b. Is that correct? No. It should be exact kung ano yung expected output natin. Finiteness or finiteness. Ibig sabihin ng finite, natatapos. Must terminate after a finite number of steps. Kapag na-execute ko yung step 1 to 5, tapos na ba doon? Should be, kung ang last step mo is 5. Kung hindi siya natatapos, or yung program natin, tuloy-tuloy siya, hindi siya nag-e-end, mukha na siya nag-hang na program, may mali dun sa algorithm or dun sa program or dun sa pseudocode mo, sa logic mo. Kasi, an algorithm for it to be correct should be finite, should be terminated, should be done executing after a number of steps. Algorithm should be feasible with the available resources. Ibig sabihin, your algorithm or your program is doable, executable. Independent of any programming code. As I've said earlier, kahit anong language, gagana yung algorithm. Though hindi siya na-execute. Ibig sabihin, we can convert our algorithm into a specific or any type of program language or program code. So those are the characteristics of algorithm. Algorithm should be unambiguous. Algorithm should have 0 or more inputs. Algorithm should have 1 or more outputs. Algorithm should be finite, feasible, and independent. Okay? Okay. So algorithm is the step-by-step procedure. For example, scenario, your friend is arriving at the airport. And your friends needs to get from the airport to your house. So there are different ways for your friend to go to your house from the airport. One is through taxi. Let's say the taxi algorithm, mali yung numbering ni Madam. First, go to taxi stand. So punta ka daw dun sa hintayan or terminal ng mga taxi. Meron yan for every airport, merong space or location specific for taxi. Get in a taxi, give the driver your address. It only takes 3 steps for the taxi algorithm. Second, the call me algorithm. When your airplane arrives, call my cell phone, meet me outside the baggage claim, pero hindi pa sila nakarating doon. Tama ba yung algorithm? It is a step for you to reach our house, pero hanggang 2 lang siya. Kulang pa siya ng step. Hindi pa talaga sila mismo nakarating ng bahay. So you have to take any transportation, both ikaw and your friend, and then you'll reach your home. So that's called the algorithm. Rental car algorithm. Take the shuttle from the rental car place, rent a car, and then, ibig sabihin ng rent a car, ikaw mismo yung magdadrive, and then, you input the directions in the GPS, and then, you follow the directions. Rent a car algorithm. The bus algorithm. Outside baggage claim, catch bus number 70, transfer to bus 14 on Main Street. Ibig sabihin, pagbaba mo ng Main Street, lipat ka sa bus 14, then baba ka ng Elm Street, and then walk 2 blocks from north of my house. Among the algorithms, ito yung pinaka-hassle. Dalawang bus yung sasakyan, lilipat ka ng bus, tapos maglalakad ka pa. So you can see among these 4 algorithms, pareho lang yung output niya. Ang makarating from airport to your house. Pero iba-iba yung steps. Iba-iba yung ginamit na transportation. Merong maikling step or madaling step. Merong mahabang step or maraming step. Merong matipid na step. Meron ding mahal na step like in taxi. Ang conversion niya into program, meron ding cost yung mga programs natin. Yung step, mabilis, yes. Execution or steps, okay? Speed ang pinag-uusapan ng program mo. Yung cost of your program, paano natin mapag-uusapan yon? This is in terms of your memory. Ilang memory, ilang gig, ilang MB ang gagamitin yan kapag ina-execute natin yung program. That is a one cost. Okay? Yung complexity ng program. Okay? So those are the costs that are considered when creating a program. Yung storage ng program, pag sinave natin yung program, anong file size na. So those are the considerations in creating the algorithm. Pero basically, the point here is algorithm, iba-iba yung approach, and hopefully, expected output is always achieved. And algorithm is illustrated or can be explained using a flowchart. Your pseudocode, your program design, your algorithm is explained further using a illustration or using a drawing or the flowchart. Or yung tinatawag natin flowchart. And there are 6 basic flowchart symbols. Basics. Basic lang to ha. Ibig sabihin, there are more others. First is the terminal. So terminal indicates the starting or ending of the program. Why? Kasi, sabi natin, algorithm is finite. So kailangan, alam natin kung kailan mag-start yung program, alam natin kung mag-end yung program. Ma'am, yung flowchart walang end. Tama po ba yun? Mali. Kung walang end yung flowchart mo, ibig sabihin your program is not finite. Therefore, it is an error. So, terminal, start, and end. Next, initialization. Anong tawag dyan sa symbol na yan? Hindi ko alam kung anong shape yan. Basta, initialization yan para sa akin. False declaration of all variables used in a program. So, in mathematics, meron tayong tinatawag na variable and constant. Constant, specific, value. Variable, these values are changing throughout the program or throughout the solving of the problem. So in a program, minsan gagamit tayo ng variables to hold values, pero these are treated as temporary values, meaning hindi sila constant. They can change from 0 to any number. So variable, example, variable x gets 5, meaning your variable x, value niya is 5. Another variable that will be used is y, gets 0, meaning y is 0, y is equals to 0. You can later change that variables, yung x magiging 10. Your x will be 25. Okay? Pwede silang mabago within your program. That's variables. And variables are always declared sa initialization part or almost top part ng program. The beginning part of your program, you have initialization and declaration. Pag sinabi natin declaration, we declare kung ano yung mga kakailanganin kong variables. Kung ano yung mga skills na gagamitin mo, di ba, we declare. Initialization, we initialize the value of the values or the variables or the declared variables. So, yun yung difference ng declaration and initialization. Declaration, we declared what variables will be used. Initialization, we assign values to the declared variables. Gets? Yes. Process or rectangle. Process indicates any type of mathematical assignment or any type of operation. It can be also string operation. So, mathematical, assignment operation, logic operation, ang daming operations yan. Pag-aaralan din natin yan along the way. So, example, mathematical operation muna tayo. So, if you'll be using a mathematical formula, we use rectangle or the process symbol to represent yung mathematical formula. So, ang sabi niya dito, dahil nag-declare tayo ng x and y here in the beginning, we will be using x and y. Anong gagamitin niya? X multiply x daw. Anong value ng x? Nung dineclare natin? What is the initialized value of x? 5. So what we do here is we assign the values or replace the values. 5 multiply 5, therefore is 10. 5 multiply 5? 25. Therefore, 25 will be assigned to y. So, kaninang 0 yung y, ngayon 25 na daw siya. Thank you, Alfreds. So, ganyan yung ginawang process. Yung y natin kanina na 0, nung in-execute natin yung process na yan, yung y natin, new value is 25. Next symbol. Input and output. For input and output, used for any input or output or I/O operation. When you say I/O, input, output operation, indicates that the computer is to obtain data or output results. So we use, anong tawag dyan sa symbol, the shape na yan? Just go back to elementary. Hindi ko na maalala, guys. Hindi yan rectangle. Rhombus, parallelogram, o basta ganyan. Input-output ang tawag ko dyan. So, yung input and output na symbol na yan, gagamitin natin yan if mag-i-input tayo or need natin mag-obtain ng data. Yung example na kanina, enter your name. Enter Ana. Okay? Ang gagamitin natin symbol is ganyan. Ngayon, also, we will be using that symbol if mag-output tayo or mag-display. So usually printing commands use this symbol. So ang sabi niya dito, print the square root of 5 is. So ipiprint niya yung, papansin niyo meron tayong double quote niyan. So print the square root of 5 is. Ipiprint niya yung whole sentence or whole phrase na yan. Plus, another command niya dito, print the value of y. Ano yung value of y na ngayon?
25.
25. So, makikita yung output or madi-display sa monitor the square root of, mali yung word ni ma'am, hindi yan square root. The squared value, power. Square root of 5 is marireduce to dapat siya eh. Sorry naman na. So, the squared value of 5 is 25. Okay? Correct. Next. So, ganyan po yung input-output. Decision. O yan, alam ko to. Ang tawag dito, diamond. Okay. So, diamond. Decision is used to ask questions that can be answered in a binary format. 1, 0. 1 is yes or true. May laman. 0, wala. No, false. Okay? So, binary lang siya. 1, 0, yes or no, true or false. Yun lang yung pwedeng maging output ng decision. So, we use diamond's shape. Pero we call this as decision symbol. Would you like to terminate the program? Is that answerable by yes or no? Yes. So, tinatanong ka niya kung gusto mong i-terminate yung program or you still would like to continue executing the program. If yes, anong gagawin? If no, anong gagawin? That is indicated by the flow line. So flow lines show the direction of your flow. Oh, would you like to terminate the program? Pag false, anong mangyayari? Babalik siya dun sa una para gawin niya ulit yung instructions mo. Pag true, would you like to terminate the program? Sabi niya, terminate. O anong susunod na dito? Ano dapat yung nandito pag true?
End.
And, ang tawag doon sa symbol na yon? Terminal. Okay? Meron ka ng end dito. Okay? Getting? Okay. So, these are the 6 basic flowchart symbol. Ano yung green?
Terminal po.
Terminal.
Ano yung blue?
Initialization.
Yan, tongue twister. Initialization. Initialization. From the word o yung verb niya, initialize, ibig sabihin, the beginning or the first value. Ay, naku. Guys. Okay, yun yung blue, initialization. Yung gray, ano yung gray?
Process.
Ano?
Low line.
Flow line.
Flow line.
Okay. Flow line po yan, hindi po yan arrows, ne. Baka sa exam, arrow yung lagay nyo, sasaktan ko kayo. Hahanapin ko kayo at sasaktan ko kayo. Flow line yan, hindi arrows. Yung yellow, ano yung yellow?
Process.
Process. Please, that is process. Hindi po yan rectangle. Ne. With giggle. Yung orange o yung red?
Input or output.
Okay.
Input and output.
Thank you. Again, this is your terminal, start and initialization declaration. This, itong blue, itong yellow, this is process, mathematical, string, and other processes, mathematical formulas, use process symbol. This one is input-output. Either you input or obtain information or raw data. Also for displaying. Also for printing outputs. This is decision. Dalawa lang yung output nito. Either true or false. Yes or no. 1 or 0. If yes, your flow line should go to another instruction. If no, your flow line should also go to another instruction. If you can check your chapter 2 PDF, you can see an example of complete program like this, or program there. Complete flow chart like this. So we have the start. Makikita nyo guys? Yung nasa snip tool ko. Can you see my?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you have the start. You have the start and then followed by a flow line. If you could notice, yung flow line natin, isang arrowhead lang yan. Hindi po pwedeng dalawa, hindi po pwedeng walang arrowhead. Pag walang arrowhead, ibig sabihin that is not a flow line. You don't know where to go and from what step to another step. Hindi niya ma-identify kung walang arrowhead. Okay? So your flow line should always have arrowhead. Obtain grades from, followed by, this is input-output. So anong gagawin niya? Obtain grades from the grade book and input them. So that is one way of input. Kukunin daw niya yung grades. Example, your grades is prelim 74, midterm 75, and finals is 73. Anong gagawin daw niya yon? Gagawin daw niya sa in-input na grades, add grades together. Okay? So, adding is a mathematical process. Therefore, we will be using the process symbol. Followed by decision. There's a question there. Have all grades been added together? Pag false, babalik daw tayo dun sa input. Pag true, we will do another process. Divide sum of the grades by the number of the grades obtained. What is the sum? 74 plus 75 plus 73. O, dahil Nag-calculate pa si ma'am. 74 plus 75 plus 7.
222.
Ang gagaling. 222. O, divide the sum. That is the sum. By the number of grades. Ilan ba sila? Divide by 3. 222 divide by 3, 74. Print the average grade. Dahil print yung ating instruction, input-output, yung gagamitin nating symbol. So, print natin is 74. And then, N. Ganun lang yun. So, this program is to get an average of a specific set of numbers. Getting? Tama ba yung mga ginamit nating symbols? Yes, kasi ako gumawa niya. Malinaw ba yung ating flow ng ating program or yung flow line? Yes, because that is characteristic of a algorithm. Unambiguous, hindi siya nakakalito. Pagka alam mo kung saan pupunta yung false, alam mo kung saan pupunta yung true. May start and end? Yes, because program or algorithm is finite. Okay? Naintindihan po, peoples?
Yes.
Okay. So those are the basic flowchart symbol. Please take this part seriously kasi flowcharting is part of your programming. One of your exercises or common exercise is you will create a flowchart first before you create the actual program. Ganun po ako mag-train ng programmers. You create the flowchart, kung ayaw nyo pseudocode, and then you convert your flowchart into an actual program. So please be familiarized with the flowchart symbols. Ito lang yung basic na gagamitin natin. And that's it for chapter 2. Okay? That's the whole coverage of chapter 2. So for chapter 2, we have discussed the definition of a program, pseudocode and flowcharting. What are the symbols used in flowcharting? What are the process of a program? Defining a program, process 1, process 2. What is a process 2? We plan the solution. So in planning the solution, either we use flowchart or you use pseudocode. Now, step 3, we code the program. We follow a specific program language or syntax. Step 4, we test the program. 3 steps in program is desk checking, translating, and debugging. And number 5, documenting the program. So, be familiarized with programming languages, high level, low level. Ano pa ba? Process, programming languages, flowcharts, and pseudocodes, and algorithm. So algorithm, they have specific characteristics. Algorithm should be clear and unambiguous. Algorithm should have 0 or more inputs. Algorithm should have 1 or more outputs. Algorithm is independent. Algorithm is finite. Algorithm is feasible. Hindi. Nasa utak ko lahat eh. Anong bibigay yung reviewer? Trabaho ko bang gumawa ng reviewer? So review chapter 1 and chapter 2, quiz on September 3. On your modular schedule.